Hey, welcome to the 7-day Reach Out Challenge. I hope that you've gone through some of the materials, you've downloaded your workbook, which you will need. So make sure you go to the workbook download and print area, the summary ebook area as well, so you can refer to that when you are reaching out and when you are even later when you're done with the challenge. And the schedule, and you can look at the calendar as well so that you can keep track of absolutely everything you are doing, because trust me, it can get confusing. So do that and then come back and go through this. Day 0 is about setting the stage, getting you ready for your first day of challenge. So go do that, do your downloads, get all that information ready, and then let's keep going. Out of sight, out of mind. Thomas Kempis. My first full-time job boss. I worked with him for about a year. After I left that company, it took me 8 years before I saw him again or I talked to him again. Very long time. Now what happened is he approached me because he was coming to visit me where I was, and I was abroad, and he happened to be there on holidays. He was there for like a day or two, and he realized that I was there, so he got in touch and said, "Hey, I'm there. Let's meet up." Then we got together. We went to a restaurant, and I gave him some tips. And we had, a nice meal together. We caught up. And when we were there, he told me that if I were to stay out of sight, I would be out of mind. And I think he referred to this quote that I later found from Thomas Kempis. He says, if you don't appear, if you don't show up, then you won't be in my mind. I'll forget about you. And he said that some of the other ex-employees that he had would contact him at least once a year. And he really liked it. He liked being remembered by these people who he, once worked with him. And I had been out of sight for 8 years. And it was him who had to approach me. And he was my first full-time boss. So I thought that was an important lesson there, right? Because if you want other people to remember, then you're going to have to stay in touch. That's how relationships happen. You need to be present with a certain frequency, even to be remembered by others. Why is it so important to be remembered by others? Because that's how you stay connected. That's how you can remember them as well, and when they have an opportunity or something interesting, they can come back to you because you'll be in their minds. And I did a very poor job for many years staying connected with people from, especially my past work environments. I've been changing companies a lot, changing countries, and in reality I felt a little bit awkward. I feared rejection, and I feared appearing needy, but that was a terrible excuse. It's harder to create new contacts than it is to maintain the ones that you already have. And the ones that you have are more powerful because they know you. So don't just focus on growing your circle of influence, but also to keeping it and creating depth in the ones that you already have, because staying in touch shows you care. So this challenge is actually quite simple, and I kept it short so that you could have some results quickly, and then you can decide what to do next. Here's what it is. You're going to reach out to 7 people, 1 person per day. And I'm going to give you the process to do that and exactly what kind of people you're going to reach out to. You're going to connect, and you're going to ask for a virtual face-to-face chat with contacts, cold contacts, or new people. So this is not someone that you've been talking to or your best friend. These are people that you're a little bit uncomfortable talking to, right? The people that either you don't know or people that have gone cold, like my boss, my first boss, 8 years without being in touch. That's the kind of person that this challenge is supposed to make you reconnect to. It's not just boss, it can be colleagues, it can be friends and family, people that you haven't spoken to in a long time, or complete strangers, which is expanding your network. It's also about getting them out of the virtual chat mode into a space where they can hear your voice and ideally see your face. You're going to get daily tips, so we're going to have this little presentation for you for every day so you can kind of warm up and understand the fundamentals around how to do these things. And then you're going to go out, and there's going to be a little assignment for you that's going to help you and schedule and talk to people and meet and connect and reach out and have fun. And when I decided to do this, I did once with people that I knew, And then once I focused mainly on strangers, I was absolutely amazed at how people were receptive and how deep these conversations can go. And in some of them, I would usually schedule them for maybe half an hour, but then sometimes they would go way beyond half an hour, 1 hour, 2 hours, even 3 hours plus I already had, because people were enjoying the conversation so much with a stranger, right? This is the power of connecting virtually, because you can literally go from, I don't know you, to, wow, I really like you. And we have so much in common, and let's keep in touch. So that's what this challenge is about. And I wish you also get this feeling and you can see how wonderful it actually is to reach out and connect with people. So what are the objectives of this challenge, this 7-day reach out challenge? Well, the first one is to overcome your fear of reaching out by taking action. I'm going to nudge you along so that you can reach out to one person per day. And when you do that, you are going to develop that muscle of courage. And it's going to, everything starts out being a little bit scarier in the beginning when you're not used to doing it, but then over time it becomes easier and easier and easier, and then eventually it becomes a new habit. And that's what we're trying. 7 days starts that path of habit creation, but ultimately you can extend this if you want. Also, it helps you gain self-confidence because you're reaching out, you're getting to speak to people, you're doing things despite the fear, and you're going to get some results, and you're going to feel good about this. Like, I've never not felt good after a conversation, right? When people respond, and then once you have that conversation, you're going to feel great. Third, create mutual value, because you are going to connect with people. You're going to also be thinking in ways to add value to them, right? Because you're going to learn about them, you're going to listen to them, and you are going to hopefully get value from them as well. Network and connect despite social distancing. Right? We are in an era of social distancing right now for many of you, and if that is the case, you still have to network and connect with people. And this is a great way of doing it from the comfort of your home, right, within your schedule. To stretch yourself, get out of your comfort zone. It's really important to get out of our comfort zone sometimes. Try new things. Try new things, develop new skills that can be very, very useful for our growth, for our career, and for our happiness. So why do you need this challenge, the 7-day reach out challenge right now? Why is now a good time for you to do it? Well, first, you need to adapt to a fast changing environment. We are in unprecedented times that require unprecedented action. So we need to adapt to the circumstances so that we can continue to succeed and to grow and to develop and to be happy, because we need to connect as human beings to be happy. More control, because when you are reaching out to people instead of being reached out to or not being reached out to, when you are defining who you want to speak to and then going out there and speaking to them, then you're in control. You're talking to who you want to talk to. You're expanding your network in the way that you want to expand it. And you're not striking luck waiting for somebody to reach out to you, somebody that you want, and you're not competing with other people, right? So it's a wonderful way to differentiate yourself and to really get the interactions that you desire, that you want. More access to people, because now whenever most people are traveling less, right, for leisure, they're working more from home. They're less out and about in restaurants and concerts and leisure activities. They're more at home now. They have more time. Maybe their business is slower or more quiet. So now people are going to be more available for other things, especially online connection, right? So take advantage of it. Learn by doing. One of the best ways of learning is by doing. And that's what the beauty of this challenge is. It's because it's about you actually going out and reaching out to people, doing. Because of that, it also gives you more job security because of that, it also gives you more job security because unfortunately, we're in times where it might be somebody that you know as well. So if you position yourself, if you know people, if you are connected, it's so much easier to add value, help others, and to allow others to help you, right? Because they know where you stand. You already have the relationships. Deeper connections. We need and crave deeper connections as social human beings. This is a wonderful way of doing it, even if you're isolated physically from other people. So you can do it from anywhere in the world. Variety and growth. We like variety. It's one of the pillars of humans. We need some variety, usually positive variety. And this is a great way of doing it since we can't get it in many other ways. So once you get past the fear, it's actually enjoyable. Not only that, the best time to connect is when you don't need a connection, right? You don't want to sound needy. Hey, I want a job, I want a job, I want a job. So when you don't need the connection, it means you're more secure, you're more confident. And it just makes the conversation flow a lot more naturally. And it's a lot more genuine and a lot more authentic. So reach out now. Reach out when things are well, when things are good. Find ways to keep helping others and adding value to others. And you can't do that if you don't know what they're going through. And that's what the conversations are for as well. Networking while social distancing, right? This is a lot of the conferences and in-person events are not happening anymore. So this is a way for you to stay ahead of the game. It helps you develop your courage, overcome your fear of rejection, control what you can control, not what you can't. And remember, there's no failure. There's no failure. Somebody doesn't answer your request, that's not failure. Somebody doesn't engage that much in the call, that's not failure. Somebody only makes 15 minutes available or 10 minutes available for you, that's not failure. You know what the failure is? The only failure is to not go out there and try and reach out and be the one who is connecting and making things happen for yourself. So you may be asking, what if I'm socially awkward and I'm introverted, and how do I do this? That's not an issue. This challenge was designed for people who find this a little bit hard so that they can overcome that awkwardness, that overcome that fear of rejection and get talking to people. And that's why we're going to lay out many strategies for you to understand how to work this together if you've never done it before. What if I don't know enough people? That's not a problem. This challenge is going to be especially helpful for you because you're going to figure out how to learn and get to know new people. What if I don't know what to say to people when I actually have a conversation with them? That's okay. We give you a list of stuff to talk about. What if I miss a day and I don't reach out? That's okay. Just keep going. Don't miss the next day. Okay, don't miss. You don't have to be perfect. You just need to keep going. Stay in the game. Here are the rules for the 7-day reach out challenge. You're going to pick someone every day. You're going to choose someone that you haven't talked to in at least 1 year. Okay, so if it can be somebody you know, but you haven't actually spoken to them. You haven't heard their voice talking to you, right, in 1 year. So this is not, if you've texted them, that's okay. You can still, if you haven't actually spoken, so maybe you texted them a week ago, they still qualify. Okay? Or it can be a complete stranger. Now, don't pick someone who you've been on the phone or virtual meeting in conversation with the last year, right? So someone who you haven't actually spoken to. Your goal in every interaction online when you're not speaking to them, so if you're texting, emailing, or whatever, is to get them to schedule a Zoom call with them, right? It's not to stay, because a lot of people are also going to be uncomfortable when you reach out to them. And this idea of getting on a Zoom call or getting, on a virtual conference or on the phone, and they might try to stay within the messaging realm, within the texting area, but you can't get really deep in text. So you're going to have to push them out of the text. You're not giving a full update on the text. You are saying, hey, I thought of you. Let's have a Zoom call. What do you think?
Okay, so there's 3 levels in reaching out that we're going to do during this challenge. The first level is touching base with people, with family and friends that you are out of touch with, that you haven't talked to in a while, in person or with audio or video. So you haven't really heard their voice for a while. And these are generally, you want to go with neutral relationships before going to complicated relationships. It's always easier to go with someone that you haven't fought with them for some major reason, you don't have a major complication. Just keep it simple, right? It's always easier to go with a more neutral relationship. Then the second level is out of touch former work colleagues, mentors, and bosses. So now you get to the professional side, and these could be people like you that you know very well, like a boss that you've had but you've not been in touch with for a very long time, or somebody that you have weak ties with, somebody that you met at a conference, at an event, or someone in the company from a different department that you've only seen once, twice, or just a few times. They might know you, but you didn't really interact that much with you. And with those weak ties, that's how you expand your network as well, right? Is through weak ties. There's huge power within the weak ties. And with the people that you already knew very well, it's much easier to touch base because they know you well. And then The third level is to reach out to strangers, right? This is cold calling, basically, where you can go after normal, everyday people that you just want to connect with and you want to learn more about them or where they work or what they kind of work that they do. Or you can also tap into very powerful and influential people. You can go after your heroes, people that you admire, people that might be your future boss, or the future boss of your boss, or somebody that you want to build a relationship with long term, right? And even these people are going to be available. They're going to be harder to get to, but they might be there if you know how to write and approach them in the right way. You have a chance to reach out to these people, and these could be also authors, people that are on media, giving shows, who have a podcast, who've done a TED Talk. You can reach out to anyone really who has a presence or that you know of. And especially the ones who don't have a big online presence. And even if they are powerful in any way, they'd still be pretty happy to get an email with some compliments and a genuine request for a discussion or a conversation. And you'd be surprised. You'd be surprised at how much power you have to actually meet up and engage with strangers and with more or people that you consider powerful. Because if they are powerful but they're not in the spotlight, then there won't be that many people coming to them to touch base, to ask questions. So there's a huge opportunity there. So this is what we're going to explore. These three levels: out of touch family and friends, out of touch former work colleagues and mentors, and strangers.
So this is what your challenge is going to look like. So the first 3 days, you're going to talk to people that you're comfortable with, so that you know and that know you well and that, even like you, that are people that you just lost touch with because one side, the other side are busy or moved. That's going to be day 1, 2, and 3. And then days 4 and 5 is you're going to talk with a former colleague, boss. And if you don't have that much of a work experience, you could contact a professor, or a teacher, or anything like that from school as well, or even a colleague, a classmate. And then on the last 2 days, we're going to reach out to strangers. Now, how's this going to work? On day 1, we're going to talk a little bit about mindset. Day 2, it's going to be how to approach family and friends. Day 3, having the conversation. Then day 4, approach again of the former colleagues. And then day 5, the conversation. Day 6, approaching a stranger. Then day 7, conversation. So always approach and then conversation. And then before that, we're going through this little introduction, and then after that, there's going to be a little debrief with next steps and a bit of reflection. So are you ready to reach out, to stay in touch, to show people that you care about them, to make them remember you? I mean, there's so many things that you can do, but keep in mind throughout the challenge, how can you add value to them, right? Can you offer connections? Can you offer advice, articles, opportunities? That's something just to keep in mind as you connect. Stay informed. Remember that this is a great way to understand, not just follow them on social media and see what they're up to, but see what their real challenges are. What are they actually going through, especially the challenges, because that's where you can help them. Usually on Facebook, people post only the beautiful trips and positive moments that they've had, but they don't talk about their struggles as much. So this is a great opportunity to talk about that as well. Stay up to speed, because people's lives are changing so quickly. Where they live, where they work, their family status, careers, jobs, things are changing all of the time. Keep in touch with what's going on in their life, their hobbies, their travels, and then connect. Just enjoy the conversations. Don't take anything personally if anything happens, if somebody doesn't respond immediately. They eventually might see it. Maybe they just missed your email. You can reach out more than once as well. But don't take anything personally. Just try to have fun. Succeeding in business is all about making connections. And these are the words of Richard Branson, the founder of Virgin Group. So succeeding in business is all about making connections. So you need to make those connections. And the higher you go up, the higher you want to go up, the more you're going to need to make connections. You might get away in the beginning with first job, the second job, or at entry levels without the connections, going through standard processes and getting deals in the standard ways. But if you really want to take off, if you want to go to the next level, and as you go up the corporate ladder, or if you're on your own business, you're going to need connections. So here's your pre-assignment, your preparation. Just brainstorm 5 names of family or friends. You're only going to use 3, but brainstorm 5. So you already have something in mind for the next 3 days people that you haven't spoken to in more than 1 year. But don't worry, don't just write down some names, and you can change these later. Also, brainstorm 5 names of former work colleagues or bosses or professors or teachers that you haven't spoken to in more than a year. If you have work history, then try to stick with work contacts. But if you don't, then you can go with school contacts as well. So you can use this to write the names. Every day we'll have an assignment with a checklist and also an area where you can actually write things down. So feel free to print these. They are part of they're in the section of the workbook, and you can just go there and print these out and write them down so you keep yourself organized.